welcome to this review of the Panasonic GH5. Now, I've owned this camera for well over a year. I've been using it for both professional and personal work. Now, I will start off by saying this review on the whole is going to be very positive. I think any camera that you can use literally every day on a professional basis without any kind of issues, without fail, without crashing or overheating, or any kind of errors or bugs, makes it a very reliable and dependable unit. Now, I can be quite tough on my gear, and I think anything that is deemed as being professional has to be exceptionally robust and durable, and I've knocked it and dropped it and so forth, and it's never really caused it any kind of issues. And this brings me on to the ease of use. It's a very easy, simple, logical camera to pick up and use. The menu system is pretty clear, everything's touchscreen, which is fantastic. And then you can also customize the camera really easily. You can set different custom buttons to do different things, and I've set the custom 1, 2 and 3 mode dial settings in order for me to go from 4K 24 to 4K 60, or if I want to shoot in a higher frame rate like 120 or above, I can just go into custom function 3. This means that on the job I can very quickly switch between frame rates and you don't really waste any time. Now, I generally just shoot everything in either 4K 24 or 4K 60. Those are my two go-to camera settings. What else I really like about the GH5 is the color science is really good. I've had no problems with weird skin tones that I used to get on the GH4. And I set my own custom setting, which allows me to just simply get a very good image straight out of camera without the need to color grade or do much else. As long as I've got the white balance set, which I generally do manually, the colors come out really well. Now, image quality is obviously paramount, and the quality that comes out of the GH5 from my experience has been fantastic. I've really not had to push the ISO very high. I'm normally shooting in good lighting conditions, and if it's not the ideal situation, I'm generally supplementing the ambient light with my own light. So in that regard, I've had no problems with noise or high ISOs because I've not really been shooting in them. I love the 4K, I love the ability to crop in, reframe, add camera movement afterwards, and the fact that we're shooting on a 4K camera, which is giving you a beautiful image, I really want to stick with that all the time. So 4K 24, 4K 60 are exactly what I'm using, and I'm shooting 8-bit internally on the SD cards, and I've shot with Cinelight D, and I found that's been great as well. And really, V-Log-L is obviously very good for high dynamic range situations, and you really want to bring out more detail in the shadows and a nicer roll off in the highlights. But I actually found that shooting in Cinelight D has been equally as good for me, and the custom profile that I've got, I found that has been great, and I've not really felt I've had to go to V-Log-L much, because obviously that's super flat and it takes a little bit more time and sometimes a lot more time in actual grading in post. So for me, on a professional level, I want to try and get the best image quality and output in the shortest period of time, because obviously time is money and I want to work efficiently. I don't want to spend hours grading something when I can get a very good image straight out of camera, and the GH5 has produced that for me. And now that moves me on to battery life, and yeah, the batteries are not bad. The Panasonic batteries do last a fair bit, but I found very quickly I was buying extra batteries, and then I ditched all the batteries and just went to a power bank solution, which has probably been the best thing I did with the GH5, because now I can set up the power bank and it just works all day. I don't have to change anything out. I also shoot with a small HD monitor and a small rig cage, and that combination works really well. The GH5 screen is pretty good, and it's a nice flip out screen articulating, which is super useful. You know, there's a lot of people say, oh, why do you need an articulating screen? Well, if you don't want to use a monitor, if you want to work quick and you want to work light, you don't want to have a monitor, having an articulating screen can be super useful for low shots. Having the camera high on a monopod pointing down, but you can't see the back of the screen, so the flip out tilted downwards is brilliant. It can be very, very useful. And with lens choice, that's great, because I shoot with micro four thirds lenses and Canon glass via Metabone speed booster. And depending on what the situation is, if I need to be very, very light, and often when I'm going out with the kids or doing family stuff, personal stuff, I just take a couple of prime lenses, either vintage lenses which have been adapted, or just using the micro four thirds glass which is super lightweight. It just makes it so easy to work with, and those little micro four thirds lenses are sharp, they're light, they're durable, and you know, they just do the job. But my favorite setup is the Metabone Speed Booster XL 0.64 paired up with the Canon 24-70 f2.8L. This is a Mark 1 version. I then like to use a small rig with the small HD monitor and then the power bank solution. That combination for me works fantastic. I get a nice wide image with the Metabones. It gives me a nice field of view, but I can zoom into 70mm, and not only can I zoom into 70mm and get a nice telephoto effect, but I can actually get physically very, very close to a subject if I need to, which makes the background go totally out of focus, really creamy bokeh, and then I almost get like a macro effect, and the Speed Booster is great for that because it actually reduces the minimum focus distance of a lens as well. Then you've also got the tele mode on the camera if you want an extra reach. So that combination of lens and Speed Booster choice for me has been great. I don't use the Sigma 18-35. I've not found really any need to go and buy that because I've always had the 24-70. That brings me then on to IBIS, in-body image stabilization. Absolute brilliant. You don't need a tripod often, you don't even need a monopod. You can shoot handheld, you get beautifully smooth footage. The IBIS in here is fantastic, and when I've paired it up with lenses that have OIS, optical image stabilization, you get the dual stabilization working together, and then you can put the camera with the IBIS and the OIS in the lens, stick it on a gimbal. Absolutely brilliant. I know for a fact I haven't reached the potential of what this camera is capable of. I know I haven't outgrown this camera in the sense it can't do anything that I need it to do. So in closing, it's been a brilliant camera, robust, reliable, dependable, fantastic image quality, easy to use, totally logical. If I could boil it down to two of the best things that I love about the camera: 4K 60 frames per second and in-body image stabilization. I'm very happy with the camera. I do like it a lot. It's been absolutely great. I am shooting right now on the Ursa Mini 4.6K, and I definitely do want to buy a Blackmagic Pocket 4K because I think it will be a great addition to the Ursa Blackmagic type of family. Wonderful color science. I love the image that comes off the sensor and the fact you can shoot 4K 60 and all the different ProRes versions, which is absolutely fantastic. However, if Sony released their A7S III and it has 4K 60 along with their amazing autofocus, great ISO performance and full frame, I think then it would be safe to say I'd have to say goodbye to the GH5 and go towards the Sony. That would be a brilliant camera. But like I said, I've loved the GH5. It's been absolutely brilliant. No complaints about it at all. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, think about subscribing. Please leave me a like and a comment, and I'll catch you next time.